I'm Graham Jackson from Overland Passage. This is going to be a quick tour of Honeybee, my Defender 110 station wagon that we took to Belize for the Camp 6 road film. So I'll talk a little bit about the truck first, and then we will get into the modifications that I've gone through to make it an expedition vehicle. Started life as a rest of the world spec Defender 110, 300 TDI, R380 5-speed gearbox, nothing really special about it. The ROW trucks were probably mostly destroyed in the course of their lives. This one happened to be saved by a weirdness in a contract, and so it ended up on the open market. And I purchased it way back in 2003. At that time, built it up to drive it from London to Cape Town in 2004. Other than that, it's just a stock Defender 110 white, Chawton white, which is what they all came in. So in the build-up to going to Africa for the London to Cape Town trip, we put a lot of mods on the vehicle. At that time was young and inexperienced and didn't really know what I was doing, so I basically threw everything at the vehicle. So we put on the bull bar, the exo cage, the winch. We gave it a 4-inch suspension lift, which was quite significant. Most of that stuff came from Safari Gard. The rock sliders, the rear tire rack, all of that sort of stuff came from Safari Gard, as did the suspension lift. I specifically wanted to put Wolf military wheels on the vehicle. For the trip to Belize, we took off a lot of the stuff that we'd put on for the Africa trip. So Africa, we had a roof rack and a rooftop tent and some more stuff up above. So that stuff all came off. The exo cage I put on because with the roof rack on a Defender, you can't put very much weight on top of the vehicle because the A-pillars and the B-pillars, being made out of aluminium, are quite weak. It was a good idea to have more support, so the primary purpose of the exo cage was supporting the roof rack for the long trip. However, it has become really, really useful. The Belize expedition, we were pushing through the jungle, and it protects the vehicle from trees, vines, things like that. So it's been an absolute boon on this vehicle. As far as mods go, the engine and the drivetrain were mostly stock up until probably 5 or 6 years ago, when I put an uprated turbo on the engine, on the 300 TDI. So she's a little bit greasy. Pretty much stock, apart from the uprated Garrett 22 turbo over there. And then I've added a few extra things like the Ali Sport header tank, because the old one was starting to wear and split. They can split, and then that's a bad thing. I've added a couple of extra wiring things like a low-level coolant alarm as well. Otherwise, nothing much in the engine bay or the drivetrain. I don't like to modify them too much because reliability is probably one of the most important things on an overland vehicle. The rest of the vehicle, most of the mods are going to be creature comforts and things like that for actually living out of. A couple of things in the passenger compartment. We've got a map light, got a GPS on the dash. I've actually put an EGT, exhaust gas temperature gauge, in the vehicle because it's got a bigger turbo. I took the plastic instrument binnacle off and replaced it with a Raptor Engineering metal one, which I like a lot. Some people don't like them so much, but I've had really good luck with them, and they're a lot stronger than the Land Rover version. Big center console Tuffy box, because in Africa we wanted to have that sort of security, and also you got to have cup holders. I think one of the most important mods to do to any overland vehicle is have a fridge. So this has an Engel 45. It's actually labeled ARB because this is back in the day when ARB resold the Engel as their own branded fridge. So there's the fridge, nice and easy to get to. It's on a fridge slide. We've got some straps down here for holding down gear. And then in the back, carrying load in an overland truck is very important. And so how you build out your load bay kind of defines how the rear end of the truck is going to be built and put together. We built this one specifically for the Africa trip, and it's been such a good conversion that we've kept it ever since. So my wife, Connie, made these drawers out of heavy-duty filing cabinets. So the top two were used for food and cooking storage. And then in Africa, the bottom two were used for recovery gear and tools. Currently empty because we're not on an expedition, but they've been absolutely fabulous. Got a section down the side here for long items like the jack and things like that. And then right here, we had coffee pots, coffee press. In the side boxes here, we've got storage for clothing and things like that. On the Belize trip, we used it for the stove. That's on both sides. Then this is a table. It pops out and you can flip it over and you've got a table. So that's a really great table storage, because usually the first thing you need out of the vehicle when you stop to camp is a table and some chairs. So that's right there. I put a custom water system on this vehicle. So initially for Africa, we had a 7-gallon water tank inside this wing here. And then I added a 15-gallon plastic water tank further up. And there are different ways to get the water out of the system. Typically down here, this is just gravity feed, which we were using in Belize mostly because the water was purified water. Take the cap off and you've got water right there. We've also got a pump in the truck, so I can have pumped filtered water coming out of this tap right here. And there's a pump switch right there. One thing that a lot of people always notice about this vehicle, especially when they're looking at it from behind, are the window grates. Window grate, we've got the lion here, we've got the giraffes on either quarter panel window, and then on the sides, when we were in Africa, we had elephants on one side and giraffes on the other. And those were custom made by my father-in-law, Alpine. And it's really awesome because when you're driving the vehicle and you look in the rearview mirror, you can just see the lion looking at you all the time, which is kind of cool. We've got a Safari Guard tow hitch adapter here, bottle opener, very useful to have. Right on this side, we've got the back of the fridge right there. We saw that from the other side. I've also got a solar charge controller, and the solar panels plug into the side of the vehicle down here. Solar panels are not permanently mounted on the truck. They actually are in a little box, so they just plug in when they're needed. Got an inverter right here, 800 watts. Not really very powerful. It's a very old inverter from 2003. Don't use it very often, to be fair. In the driver's compartment, a couple of interesting changes. I added the Raptor Engineering instrument cubby, and then down here, I had to replace these switches, the Land Rover switches, with Carling ones, just because the Land Rover switches go bad so quickly. Replace that whole setup. It's just exactly as it was stock from the factory, except the switches are Carling switches now. The truck came with air conditioning, so that's this air conditioning panel down here. And then I have my control for my dual battery system right here. And the dual battery system runs the fridge, the navigation system, the water pump, and all of that. And then up on top of the dash here, we've got the GPS. Currently it's a 276C, which I've used for years and years and years. Really, really awesome GPS. On the seats, these are Melville and Moon canvas seat covers, which are fantastic. They do get sweat stained fairly quickly, as you can tell. This is all from work in the jungle. Fuel on this vehicle is quite substantial. Going through Africa, I figured I wanted about 1,000 miles range, which we don't actually have. We've got probably 1,200 kilometers range on one fuel tank out of this vehicle. It's a big WVM Holdings extra capacity stainless steel tank that's in the stock location at the back of the vehicle. There's no extra tank. It's got a super winch on the front, which has been a great winch. So ever since I was a kid, I'd been traveling around in Southern Africa in Land Rovers, and my dream vehicle, the vehicle I wanted more than anything else, no Ferraris, no Lamborghinis on my side, my dream vehicle was a station wagon Defender 110. This is that exact vehicle, and I was lucky enough to get it when I was in my early 20s, and this vehicle was everything that I wanted and thought was best in Land Rover at the time. So the 300 TDI diesel engine, the 5-speed, 4-wheel disc brakes. It had Salisbury rear diff instead of the Land Rover rear diff. It had all of the best points that I wanted. So this was my dream vehicle. And having driven it now all the way across Europe, all the way down through Africa, I've driven it all the way across North America and down into Baja. So it's been on 3 continents. It's been an exceptional vehicle. It's never failed me in a place where I couldn't fix it fairly easily, with a little bit of effort, mind you, but it's been incredibly reliable, absolutely a joy to work on, and now I never intend to sell this vehicle. This is absolutely one of my pride and joy, I guess. So there's a lot more to this vehicle that I haven't said. There are lots of little mods and there's lots of things that aren't on it right now because we took them off for the Belize expedition. But just to give you an idea what we had in Belize, this is it. In the future, we'll be making a few more mods, maybe putting some things back on, and we'll do some update videos and and things like that. But let me know what you think. Put your comments down below and I'll try and answer whatever I can. Thank you very much.